Our enterprising agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, June 1st, 2023. And this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 431. I do not have an interview to start. Noah, if you are here, raise your hand. I know we had someone that had a couple questions. Other than that, I'll kick it over to you, Bruce.
All right. Appreciate everybody being here. Just a little tiny bit of housekeeping before we dive into some content for everyone is that this is a reminder that this call is for you guys. Please ask your questions, share your success stories. You can do that here on Zoom. All we would ask is that you go to the reactions button and raise your hand. We will call you up to unmute yourself and ask those questions or share any success stories. We are joined by Cameron. Cameron's going to be and has been stepping in and doing some coaching calls. He's kind of a peer advisor for you guys, someone that is actively working the probate niche and has been doing so for a little while. So he's going to be able to interrupt me and tell me to shut up if he's got something to contribute. And Coach Chuck is back today. So Chuck, same thing for you. If you guys are watching on live stream, so YouTube, Facebook, please chat your comments or your questions in underneath of the stream. That's going to come over to us coaches to be able to answer those questions. Without going any further, I want to go over to our CEO, Tim. I believe he has an announcement.
I do indeed. First off, Chuck, it's good to see your smiling face again, or at least your frozen face in your picture. And always good to have you join us. We appreciate you being around, and it's good to see you back. And Cameron, welcome. And wave at everybody, Cameron. They may not know specifically where you are. There he is. That's good to see you. So just a couple of things to say, and then a little bit of also housekeeping and an opportunity. So this was an interesting month for us here at All the Leads. It's first off to tell you you're kind of in the right place at the right time. We've always felt like our business is kind of an interesting, counterpoint, if you will, to kind of what's going on in the industry. And this last month was literally one of the very best months we've had in a very, very long time. We had a lot of new people join All the Leads and get with us for the first time to start getting leads in their counties and markets in places that we hadn't served before, which is awesome. We're glad to see that. We also had a lot of people that returned who had kind of been away, some for a year and a half, and they came back and turned back on and are excited to be working with us again. But one of the most important trends that we noticed this month was that a huge portion, a disproportionately large portion of our sales this month came from just member referrals, not from an affiliate, not from anybody that we're like saying, okay, so, if you'll do this, we'll do this for you. And that's what affiliate programs are all about. These are just people who mentioned us to somebody that they knew in another market and said, hey, I'm doing pretty well with this probate stuff. Maybe you should give it a try. And we literally got a whole bunch of folks that joined us that way. So one of the things that, first off, thank you for that, and we appreciate it. And we decided, in kicking it around a little bit, one of the things that we always try to offer some incentives throughout the year. And one of the things we're going to offer for the entire month of June is a $50 incentive for anybody who refers somebody that joins this month. So if you have a friend in another marketplace, if you're talking to another realtor, not necessarily in your backyard, that you're not looking to maybe create a competitor with, but almost all of us know people in other markets, and throughout the course of a month, we're almost certain to be talking to them, whether it's you're making a referral into another market or anything like that. Make sure that you talk a little bit about your experience with All the Leads, and we work real hard to try to make sure that's a great experience. And if you do, we'll kick you back $50 for the privilege of taking care of your friend. And all they have to do when they get signed up is just let their sales rep know that you're the person that referred them, and we'll make sure that you get full credit for that. And if we happen to miss it, or they forget and don't say it, and they say, hey, I joined and you didn't know anything about it, just let us know and we'll make sure you get credit for it. But we want you to make sure that we're kind of top of mind whenever you are talking to somebody, another realtor anywhere that you think could benefit from this, you know you're going to be doing them a favor by turning them on to this great evergreen source of opportunity. So $50, it's not a huge amount of money, and we don't operate off of a great big profit margin. So we try to give you as much as we can, and we're trying to do this based on growth and volume, and we appreciate you. So keep us in mind next time you talk to somebody. There you go. Bruce, back at you, bud.
All right. And that goes for investors as well. So they don't
Oh,
have to
for
be a
sure.
realtor. We do seem to get a lot of realtors. I think that is our coach's heavy background as well. So we get a lot of realtors, but if you're an investor, don't feel left out. This is a great niche for you guys as well. And if you send an investor our way, that's good. You can put that toward your leads next month, toward your mail, toward a website, kind of whatever you want. And Tim, you can just correct me if I was wrong in that understanding.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And one other thing I'll mention, this is more of a, I guess, in Jim's words, this would be a tease, but I've got some conversation this afternoon. We're talking to a relatively large national company that is involved in financing and private lending and all that sort of stuff. So we're continuing to try and help find you resources that can provide funding for your deals and your opportunities. So certainly we are definitely catering to investors and looking to grow that aspect of our business dramatically. So we're looking forward to doing that and keeping you up to date on that as soon as that matures a little bit more.
All right. So, that really leads me to kind of talk to those of you that are investors and those of you that are realtors and have maybe not crossed into the other lane in your business. And I'm going to challenge a lot of you guys to go ahead and consider crossing into those lanes. I've heard for years investors say, hey, you know what, I don't want to get a real estate license. I don't want to operate under the compliance of a big or a big local box brokerage company. And those of you that are investors, if you do push into the real estate space, you don't always have to go join a big box brokerage. The real estate industry is evolving very rapidly right now. If you are an investor, I'm going to challenge you guys, go out and look at getting that real estate license. In the probate space, you're going to run into one of two different types of prospects. You're going to run into people that say, hey, I don't want to list and clean the house up and get it ready for market. You're also going to run into a number of people that say, hey, I do want to list. I want top dollar. And instead of walking away from that business, why not have a way to capture that business and keep it inside of your business? So if you're an investor and you've never thought about getting a real estate license, our coaches, myself, we're happy to talk to you guys about how you might structure your business to get into the real estate space. Now, if you're a realtor and you aren't set up and able to invest when some of these deals come along, you're really, really missing an opportunity. You guys should absolutely be looking at ways to capitalize on both different types of prospects that you talk to. I've had many times, and one specific time where I had an owner almost fight me over the fact that he wanted a cash offer, and it was going to net him $100,000 less than if I'd listed the property. And he said, I do not want to list. Make me a cash offer. And we'd already discussed numbers. And I said, as a realtor, you're better off listing. And he said, I don't want to list. Make me a cash offer. Put it in writing. And we ended up making a cash offer because I was prepared and able to do that. So those of you that are realtors, don't feel like you're cheating your clients by offering them cash terms at a deep discount. As realtors, you do have an obligation to be honest and ethical with your clients. You can't lie to them and tell them that they're not going to make any more money than if they list. But you can certainly present all options and let them make the decision. So I'm going to challenge you guys as realtors to go get hard money, go find private investors, find ways to be able to buy some of these opportunities as you come across them. And you will come across them, I promise that. All right, questions, guys. Let's get some hands. I'd love to hear from Chuck if Chuck has anything that's going on. I actually know that Chuck has something going on, but I want to remind you before Chuck chimes in with what's up in his world. I want to remind you guys, raise your hands. We're here to answer those probate related questions, those deal structure questions, real estate in general. We're here for you. We also want to hear those success stories. So pop your hands up, chat your questions into the comments under the live streams if you're on live stream. Chuck, what's happening?
Hey guys, it's great to see you again. Thanks so much for having me rejoin. Yeah, business has been rolling right along. Just, I think it was Tuesday, received a call. I'm like, that's a strange number, and sure enough, it was a referral lead from the attorney that I've been developing a relationship with. And they basically, along those lines, what you're talking about, that one of the strong points of being an investor agent or being a hybrid agent, where you can help people with no matter what it is that they want to do, whether they want that cash offer, they want the list, or if they want to auction the property. They were very, very pointed with me and said, we will not entertain lowball offers. We will not, and it's very typical in my market for estate auctions, to have an auctioneer come in and they'll auction off the house from the front steps. They said, we don't want to go through an auction. We will list this house to get top dollar on the market. Okay, there's no reason for me, even though I'm an investor, to go ahead and argue with them. My job is to help them do what they want to do. They want to maximize their opportunity on the retail market. I've got a program for that. And so the executor, I'm in South Central Pennsylvania. 2 executors, very common in our county, that I've seen as high as 4 different executors, which is kind of mind-numbing to me. But this executor lives in Charleston, South Carolina. Her sister lives in Boston. Meet in the middle, and they're here in Pennsylvania. It's the house they grew up in. It's an ideal school district. It's an ideal property. It's a rancher. It's super highly desirable for first-time home buyers, as well as folks that are looking to downsize, which we also are building our pipeline for folks that are downsizing. So we're positioned very well to handle the listing as well as the selling, represent both the seller and the buyer. So another way to set things up, if you're a husband-wife team, like I am together with my wife, we are branch owners of our realty company in our city. She handles the retail stuff. I handle the investor stuff. So everything runs under her license for the listing. So I could represent a buyer and bring it to her, because we are separate agents, not on the same team. But we do disclose, obviously, that it's not super arm's length, but that's an option. The other one I'm really excited to share with you guys is I had a meeting yesterday morning, and I've been building out I'm real big on relationships, and I'm big on referrals. So my wife and I we're creating a brand new BNI group. So if you're not familiar with what that is, that's a referral group, 1 person per category. Real estate's super tough to get into. Unless you're an investor, there may be a number of those types of referral groups that don't have investors. So we're going through this process to launch it, and that way we can launch it with the real estate seat already taken up. In that process, we're out there looking for other businesses, and it gives me the opportunity. I went into our county's largest funeral home, and I know I can hear your gasp, because you're like, oh my goodness, Chuck, are you chasing hearses? No, I'm not chasing hearses, because here's the key. There's a growing segment of the market for funeral homes that they will do pre-planning for someone's funeral. So they're actually speaking with the person that will pre-plan for their end of life ceremony, funeral, all of the funeral expenses. And they have 2 women that cover 7 funeral homes, and they are hopping. They are busy. And when I introduced what it is that I do and how I can help somebody be one call that takes care of it all, The lady got up from the table and gave me a hug. She said, "Oh my goodness, I've been waiting. We haven't ever had somebody that could be a one-call scenario. So please take note of that. And when you go to the funeral home, don't just go to the director, ask to speak to somebody that handles their pre-planning, because they are in contact with folks in advance. And that's where building out some of your information. Bruce, I think I've heard you say a time or two before that starting to create content on your All the Leads website that's able to step people through the process. There's probate checklists that are available at ATL as well. Use that type of information. The Q&A that's in the website is fantastic for you to use as a script if you need to. Put yourself in front of a camera and put together an information that you can share with them, so that way it can help introduce those people to what is coming up for them in probate. I mean, talk about the ultimate pre-probate scenario, and you're leading with value. You're not chasing the hearse. So I've already gotten a couple. We're in contact, and I think it's going to be a steady stream of leads coming from that particular situation. You have to lead with value. Don't say, "Hey, gimme, gimme, gimme. I can sell your house. I can sell your house." No, help them understand what steps to take to get through probate, and the referrals will come flying your way.
Yep. The referrals will, one thing I'm gonna jump in on is the content ideas. So Chuck was just talking about taking the glossary, the Q&A that's on the All the Leads website, and sitting in front of a camera and answering some of those questions. That's easy. We've got our new coach Cameron here that does videos all the time, big on video. Some of you guys would be big on video if you just knew what to say, what to do. You've got all those questions that are relevant to probate. You can also go and interview attorneys. One of the ways that I try to build relationships with attorneys is I'll go in front of them and I'll say, "Look, I'd like to promote your business. Would you be willing to sit down and do a Zoom interview or like a podcast style interview with me, talk about your business?" Well, I don't know many attorneys that say no to that. And then you just sit there and you ask them questions about the process. So talk to us about how a personal representative needs to start the probate process. Okay, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you've seen personal representatives make or families make? What are some of the biggest successes you've seen them have? How can someone speed the process up? So ask an attorney questions and then chop that video up, turn it into 5, 10 different videos for yourself, put it out there, tag the attorney. They're getting marketing. You're getting marketing without having to carry the conversation, without having to sit down in front of God, what do I talk about? You just ask them questions and let them carry it in a conversation. So that's going to help you guys, any of you that are looking to create content out, especially if you're sending mail. People are checking you out. They might get 3 or 4 or 5 pieces of mail before they pick the phone up and call you. But if you are sending mail, they are Googling you. I promise they are looking at you. The more content you can put online, the more you can drive organic content into your credibility website, the better. That's going to help your Google rankings when someone looks up probate specialists in the area, probate realtors in the area, investors in the area. It's going to help the rankings. It's also going to help a lot when they go and just go try to find you in general, because each one of your pages on a website will index separately. So if you've done a good job of tagging it appropriately and they look you up, you might have one website with a bunch of different pages and videos and blogs tied into it, but it's going to show up 10 or 15 times because they index separately if you have the right content. So that's my challenge for those of you that have maybe gotten your mail in place. Maybe you're doing your calls, you're doing a good job, and now it's time to expand a little bit. Get into video, interview attorneys, interview different providers that you have in your market. It's a great way to create content. Now, if you are new and you're going, "This seems oppressive, this seems overwhelming," don't worry. You don't have to rush out and start doing a bunch of videos. If being in front of the camera is a little bit scary, don't worry. I'd like to get you guys to the place where you're doing that. All you have to really start with are the basics: calls, letters, and have a website to drive people back to. The basics work. But if you have the basics down and it's time to expand, get into the content game.
Hey, Bruce, whenever we talk about attorneys, or especially funeral homes, I always feel like another overlooked source are senior care centers and nursing homes. I mean, it's very common that mom died, we got to get dad in a nursing home. You know, we need to sell right away. They go to the nursing home and find out they don't qualify for, you know, for Medicaid, Medicare until the house is sold. So, and remember, just like the person at the funeral home who loved Chuck, there's a director at that senior care center that's either on commission or they get a bonus for keeping that place full. So let them, that's another often overlooked avenue that also, you know, can be pursued and can be really lucrative long-term. I know we've had a couple people over the years mention it, nobody lately, but I always feel like it's worth bringing up again.
Yep. End of life care, senior care, family transition centers. They could be big, they could be small. I have friends here in my market who own small private senior living facilities, and these are small. They're houses that have been rezoned, and they'll fix seniors in a house, and he'll have 2 full-time staff members, and they take care of the residents, typically normally an operator as well. These are people that you guys can go find. You got to hit Google a little bit and find who they are, because they're not all these big, huge companies, but they are people that deal in the space that we want to help with, those that are transitioning through different phases of life. So go dig those relationships.
Let me give you another source for that. And I'll just give it to what is in our local market here. And in a lot of markets, it's kind of the same thing. There's a community of people, a lot of them around the Episcopal Church, that are referred to as the St. Francis folks. And they are sort of private hospice people. And the hospice community is a great source as well. And remember that whether it's the hospice community or senior living or any of these things, what you're really doing is you need to give them the impression that you're the least thing from being a creditor or anything else. All you're doing is you're helping them provide better care and better services to the people they're trying to serve. So you got to keep in mind that you're there to specifically enhance their offering to the people that they're trying to deal with. And anything that you do has to be secondary to what they're offering, and you're instantly trusted. The value that you get out of this is if they're putting you forward, if they've got a relative in that program, whether it's hospice or senior care or any of the things we've talked about, if they refer you to them, you're golden. You've got it made, because you're already a completely trusted person. There couldn't be an easier way in the door for anything they're doing. And it's not just for the potential of a probate deal. You become the person that, you know, you could establish a relationship with them for any kind of real estate transaction, not just probate. And that's the thing to keep in mind, is probate's a pillar of your business, but you've got to also use that and let them know that not only do you do probate, but obviously you're a superstar in regular real estate, whether it's acquisition or listing. But that's the best kind of business, referred business. And I see you got a hand up there. So
I do. I'm going to call on Charles here in just a second. Charles, thanks for raising your hand. Anyone else that has questions or comments, please raise your hand. I want to quickly, because David had put some questions into chat before Charles's hand went up. So I'm going to answer those quickly, and then we're going to call on you, Charles. But David, thanks for the question. So first question that you'd asked is that you had been looking for a script, and we're told that there are no scripts, or that there isn't a script. True and false. True and false. I do have scripts inside of the prospecting mastery class. So anyone that wants to sign up for the 2-day course that I teach once a month called Prospecting Mastery. You can find it under the training dropdown. I believe the name there is probably Mastering Your Prospecting Conversations. It's 2 days. For subscribers, it's $149. It's packed with 5-6 different role play sessions after you've learned the different techniques. It is a way of handling prospecting calls. It's a little bit nuanced. That's why it's a 2-day class, because we really want to break apart each of about 5 or 6 different categories that you want to focus on when you call. So you want to have a good 10-second opening to your call, something to introduce you, maybe pique their interest a little bit. After they've given you permission, you want to respond with a 1 or 2 sentence unique USP or pitch. What I like to use is that I have a concierge type of program that helps with everything from A to Z while they're going through probate. Immediately, I'm going to ask them a question about their process. Are you just getting started, or have you been doing this for a little while? Okay, I want to get their response. Normally, most people tell you that they have everything handled. So you go opening, USP, and then once they resist what you're offering, and they will, most people do, at that point, I'm going to completely validate that resistance. The last thing we want to do is put ourselves in opposition to the stance that they've just taken, even if they're dead wrong. They say, I have everything handled, my attorney's doing everything. Those statements are very often wrong. But we don't need to correct them here. That's the best way to ruin rapport. So go ahead and validate them. And then we make that shift to the real estate question. So that is a way, not the way. David, I'll encourage you to check out, if your schedule allows it, the Prospecting Mastery class. It's going to be 2 days. Great value. I try my hardest not to charge for a whole bunch of classes inside of all the leads, but that one's just too packed with detail. Now, if you've come to Foundations, and David, I'll encourage you to maybe email me at b.hill@alltheleads.com and ask for my openings. I have an entire list of different ways to open that conversation, and those are in script format. I challenge everyone to get off of the scripts as fast as humanly possible. When I read my scripts, they don't sound so good, but at least they're a good sort of starting point to dive into. So shoot me an email and I'll send you the script index. And if you come to Foundations, then you'll be able to get a hold of that script index as well. So scripts. Next question.
Can I say something real quick, Bruce?
Yeah, please, Cam.
So I have, first off, I've been using all the leads. This is my favorite lead source. Much like Tim said, it is just one lead source, but it is my favorite one by far. It's since being a member of all the leads, I'm getting somewhere with this, I promise. Since 2019, I think I've been a subscriber. And in my best years, probably 35-40% of my business. And I sell about 30 homes a year. The scripts and knowing what to say, like I use a very loose version of something I learned in Bruce's Foundations class. And basically, it's like I always open up with, hey, I'm a probate specialist. Well, I already have an attorney, they say. And I said, well, I'm actually not an attorney. I help you with a number of things. My background's in real estate. Can help you with one of 3 categories: personal property, maintenance on the property, and the property itself, if you're going to sell it. And I do these things for free in hopes that if you do sell the property, I could be a part of that conversation. That was a lot. That was a lot that I just said right now, right? But it's just some variation of that. Like, and like I said, I mean, my county, I only get on average 35 probates filed in my county per month on average. And I've gotten, anywhere from 5 to 7 or 8 deals a year from those 35 a month. I don't know. I just wanted to say that about the scripts. I wouldn't get so hung up on the scripts. I would get hung up on starting to have the conversations and fumbling your way through that and finding your voice through that when you're talking to these leads. I also found that it does require a level of empathy, because oftentimes you're talking to an administrator that just lost a parent 2 months ago, right? That happens, and it just requires a little heightened level of empathy versus calling an expired who's getting 15. Well, anyhow.
Yep. Yeah, when they say, hey, this was my mom's house, she just died last month, you don't want to go, hey, awesome, like you might on some other prospecting calls. You gotta be kind of raise that EQ a bit, to Cameron's point, but that's good. Charles, coming to you in 2 seconds, promise. David had asked, if they're already appointed as PR, doesn't that mean that they already started the process? Yes, they've started that process. Normally, by the time you get a lead, anywhere from a couple of days to sometimes as long as 3 weeks after they've filed. They're normally still doing the legal stuff. They're filling paperwork out. They're setting bank accounts up, things like that. Most of the time, they haven't thought about selling the house yet. Normally, those people that rush out and sell the house immediately, most of the time they had a plan with their loved one that just passed away of who's going to sell the property, when it's going on the market, how much. So every now and then, maybe 10% of the time, they will have set that plan up with their deceased loved one. But 90% of the time, they didn't make a plan, and they are fumbling through this as best they can. And you'll catch people that say, hey, we don't know what we're going to do with the house yet. That's totally normal. Matter of fact, that's one of my favorite responses, because it tells me that they're probably going to sell, and that they are most likely overwhelmed with other pieces of the process. So get that appointment and then present as many services as you can. Go ahead, Tim Yandel.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add to that is, while I understand what you're saying and wouldn't really disagree with you, you're also going to realize that it's in that 10% that aren't in that situation that some of the best opportunities are, particularly for investment. Because if the death of that person created an immediate financial pressure on those families, that's one of the reasons that probate is such a great opportunity. Because if that death was the wage earner, if that death was the breadwinner for the whole family, or the sole support of a spouse that was in need of medical care or anything else, it creates an immediate need to make a change in the lifestyle of everybody that's involved there. And typically in that case, the only asset that's there that can provide families with that information, or with that resource, is the real estate. And I think it's probably appropriate to say one other thing here too, Bruce, is that don't forget that you have the opportunity for anyone who is named as a recipient or inheritor in the will. You can offer instant money with our cash program. If you got somebody that needs money now, they don't necessarily have to get the house sold to do that. You can certainly get them money with the probate cash program. So if you go to alltheleads.com/cash advance, you'll be able to get more information on that. And you can, in fact, help those people that really need something quickly, and maybe won't get that house sold for, several months. But at the point that happens, you're right there doing that, because you've already put them in touch with getting the money that they needed to take care of the immediate financial need they had, without necessarily even selling the house.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm going to stop now. That guy's hand has got to be tired by now, Bruce.
Yeah, Charles. Go ahead, Charles. You're unmuted. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Just to intro myself a little bit, I'm working in Florida. I'm brand new to the company. I'm liking everything you guys are doing so far, so I appreciate that. I just got my first set of leads about a week ago, getting my email, getting my my website set up, mailings are out. But I'm looking to call first the out-of-state people, the PRs who are out of state from the deceased. So I'm basically looking for some insight on how you handle that, as far as maybe getting keys to get into the house, to do the CMA. I imagine you don't pay anything out of pocket until you want to get a contract signed first. So whether you need a locksmith or a cleaning crew, just looking for some insight on that to get me started, please.
Yep. Generally, there's a lot of times they're going to have a neighbor. So I'm going to treat this like I'm going to treat the conversation comparable to the way that I would treat it if they were living in the town. I'll let them bring up it being out of town. So I'll kind of identify what their future plans for the real estate are. Once they say we're going to need to sell, then hey, do you think you'd be open to seeing what kind of price the property is worth, or maybe an offer? And now, Charles, if you're a realtor, so if you're new, you probably haven't been through the classes yet. I, as a realtor, I say, would you be open to an offer if I brought you one? And I do that because my offer is really going to be threefold. It's going to be an offer to list with a proposal, an offer to buy with a proposal, maybe an owner finance term. So I'm going to give them different terms that they can choose from. Once they say yes, I go, hey, when would be a good time that I could meet you at the property? And then they say, I'm out of town, I'm not in the area, I don't get by. Oh, hey, well, all I really need to do is take a swing by. Is there maybe a neighbor that could let me in or something like that? And you have no idea how many people are just going to say, oh, no, why don't I mail you a key?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Beautiful response from them, because that's almost the equivalent of them committing to work with you right then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of let them propose it. I will propose meeting them, that they're going to tell me that they're not in town. Okay, so there may be a neighbor or someone else that could let me take a quick look at the property, and then they'll usually vocalize the, hey, let me send you a key. And they don't always say that. So every now and then it's, I'll come in town in about a month. But they kind of steer the direction at that point, which is exactly what I want, because I definitely don't want them pumping the brakes because they feel like I'm dictating too much.
Understood. Okay. Very good.
Yep. Excellent. Anything else we can answer for you?
I think that's about it at this time. Just want to get rolling. I thought working with the out of state might be, have some advantage to it. So that's where I want to start.
Yeah, there is an advantage to it. Recognize that there are a lot of people that live 30 minutes away from the property, and they have a busy life, and they might deal with traffic depending on what area you're in. They're equally as anxious to get things done as out of state people are as well. So look at people that might be out of the immediate vicinity or market as well.
I went through each one and I labeled them either out of state, out of town, or same address. And I figured I'd prioritize them in that fashion.
Great. I love it. Okay. I want to go to Shalini, but Chuck has his hand up. I'm not sure if it's related to that question or not. Chuck, you got something to add?
Yes, I do. The out-of-state PRs, they have the highest likelihood of needing help from feet on the street from a professional to handle all of the things, right? So yes, prioritize the out-of-state. That's my direct situation. The conversation on Tuesday, they said, well, we're going to be up there and we're going to do one last walkthrough to get the last remaining things that we want to keep. And then the rest, we need you to sell, donate, clean it out, get the house gone, maximize our sale. We do have cousins in the area that have been taking care of the lawn, and they can meet with you so you can do a walkthrough and get that initial input, so I can be prepared for when they come to town at the end of June. I want to make sure I've got all the pins all lined up, and I hand them the bowling ball and say, knock them down, let's go. And we'll be ready to go. So yes, there's many different ways to be able to get in there, get the information you need to help them in the best way possible.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks, Chuck. Shalini, go ahead. Hope you're doing good. I just gave you permission to unmute yourself.
Hi, how are you, Bruce?
Great. How are you?
Very good. So I got my first set of leads just last week, and I started calling people yesterday. First of all, I got like 56 leads, and out of 56 leads, there were like 10 or 12 were on do not call list. So I don't know how to approach them. Maybe just send them letters.
Letters, you could door knock, you could, so if they're on the do not call list, and if your decision is not to call them, then you are going to need to make an extra effort through other sources. So if I'm going to send a letter to someone that I'm not calling, I'm probably sending it to the PR's address and the decedent's address. I may not have a full mail campaign to the decedent's address, but I just want that extra piece to really sink in. So I'm probably going to send at least one letter to the decedent's address as well. You may take a drive by the property to see if anyone's there, or drive by the personal representative's house if it's close by. You could do that. I would say if you're not going to call, mix in a few additional mail pieces to the PR. You need to stand out some way, somehow. So if your decision is not to call, then just go a little bit above and beyond with your outreach effort in other fashions.
And if
It doesn't need to be crazy extreme. Let's just say that you're sending 5 mailers. Hold on, Tim, real fast. Let's just say you're sending 5 mailers to a regular personal representative in addition to calls. You might do 7 or 8 to the 10 that you're not going to call. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay.
Yeah, all I was going to say is, and if you are working with us, we'll help you put that together by combining the ones that you decide that you're not going to reach out directly to into the same list as the PRs, so that you get your mail out the way that you want to go do it. You just create a custom list, and your marketing implementation specialist will help you put that list together. So we do that all the time. We can help you create a custom list from your leads to send mail to anybody that you want to.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And my next question is that yesterday I spoke to this person, and I started asking question, and he said he's not sure. Well, he said that he's thinking about keeping the property. And so I asked him, how far, are you in the process? He said, I just started maybe a month ago, and he has to check the status for his attorney. So I'm going to speak to him in 2 weeks. So should I just follow the probate seller checklist?
Sure. Yeah. Follow that. By the way, anyone that's using the checklist needs to recognize that your state could be different. That original checklist was kind of built off of my state. And in many cases, yours are going to have minor little changes. I will take the checklist with me, or send the checklist. What I want you to do in the future, Shalini, is to shoot them some information. The way that I like to do this, so you set up an appointment or a time. Normally, I assume that I have permission to do so. I don't very frequently ask, can I call you back in 2 weeks? Because sometimes someone will say, no, I'm good. Just going to assume. Instead, I'll say, hey, on kind of what I do, and then you can call me if you're ready. And then now I know that I'm going to call back in a couple of weeks. I just don't need to go asking them permission. They might decline. Okay. So, and then when they say, yes, you can send me information, I'll usually say, hey, what's the best email address to send that to? All right. So it's a good way to get an email address, and now you can start dripping on them. You can start working them separately. This guy said that he thought he was going to sell or hold on to the property. So it would be a great opportunity to say, how many other family members are you going to need to buy out if you keep the property? So dig a little bit more for some information to find out if this is something that he wishes he could do, or if this is something that he absolutely has the means to do.
Got it.
So I would also ask him what his intention is. If he's going to keep it, is he going to occupy it? Is he going to become a landlord and rent the property? And if so, you have the opportunity at that point to ask him some pretty pointed questions about, do you have a lot of experience in doing that? Are you going to employ a property management company? Have you looked at the insurance requirements for doing that in our marketplace? It's always good to plant seeds of, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, I never thought about that. Those are big hassle factors. I hadn't thought about all that. And the more you can do about that, not being deceitful, but just present yourself in a knowledgeable way, ask a lot of questions. If somebody tells you something that you think may be putting you off, follow it right up with some questions and just build that relationship. It's a great opportunity to do that right there.
Yep.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, thanks so much for contributing and participating. We appreciate it. Rhonda had asked, how do you create an offer without seeing the house? A lot of this depends on your level of market knowledge and experience in the industry. I can normally pinpoint an offer closely, or value pretty closely. I've got a lot of background noise trying to figure out where it's coming from.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit too, Bruce. You've been breaking up, not badly, but a little bit.
Okay. All right. Hopefully everybody else can hear me, and that's just on Jim's side is my hope. Okay. All right. So if you have good market knowledge, you should be able to pinpoint a pretty decent range of what that house is worth, considering it's in average condition for that neighborhood. So what I'll do if I haven't seen the house is I'll send a really quick cover letter. And if I'm sending this through email, I'll just kind of send a cover introductory paragraph. And in that it says, assuming that your house is in comparable condition to the others in the neighborhood, I'm going to show you on the next page or the next paragraph down what price range you could be expecting. This is absolutely subject to change. I'd love to swing out there and meet you in the next week or two and take a look at the property. And then the next page will say, if you listed your house, you'd probably get between 400 and 420,000, depending on condition. If I bought your house, it might be between 360 and 375, depending on condition. So it depends on what pieces of the offer you want to give ranges, and you want to make sure that it's big and bold and in their face. This is assuming that it's an average condition for the neighborhood. If it's better, it could be higher. If it's worse, it could be lower. When can we meet? Okay. And then Rhonda, you had also said that you read somewhere that you could call if you're providing information instead of a sales call. Is that correct? That is an area that I would personally consider a little bit more gray. If you're calling a PR that's on a do not call list, and your intention is not to sell them and pitch them really hard on your service, you do need to recognize that they are a personal representative. They are on court documents, and they've agreed to handle communication with regard to the estate. So that's your leniency, your flexibility. If their phone number is on a do not call list, they could still say, hey, I'm on the do not call list. Why are you calling me? And you need to be prepared with an appropriate response there. I don't find that it's very many people that say that. It does happen sometimes. It doesn't happen a lot. And are you protected because you're not selling something? Not 100%. It gives you a little bit of cushion and a little bit of a defense. But it's not a locked in defense, if that makes sense.
Ultimately, even if you're providing information, at the bottom of all of that, you are a realtor or you're a real estate investor. So, you can say it maybe shades it a little bit and gives it a little bit of gray. That's probably true. But the reality is you're doing it. You're not just providing information because you woke up this morning and said, oh, I think I'll provide some information. You know what you're doing. The other thing that I would point out, and this comes up probably every other call, we run everything through the do not call registry to be sure that we're providing you with an intelligent choice to make. If you think about how the laws get enforced and what people are looking for, the people are looking for people who are doing this egregiously. They're looking for people who are robo-dialing, who are putting millions of calls on the books, who are doing, shady tactics and all of that. Like Bruce said, this person that you're calling in general is the personal representative. They have a legal responsibility to process any claims against the estate. So if you had a claim against the estate, you'd have no alternative other than to call them. They'd have no alternative other than to take your call. That's the way that works. And so it's kind of important that you realize that. However, you're not that person. You don't have a claim against the estate. You really are, you're marketing. So you just have to be able to deal with the blowback if you get it. But the reality is if you approach it correctly, you're not necessarily going to have a problem. However, having said that, and I must fall back to the legal side of this. That's the whole point of the TCPA laws. We put the law up on our website. It's there for you to look at, and we are legally bound and careful to tell you to make sure you take a look at that and you're familiar with it and you make an informed choice. We give you the information, and your job, if you're going to sell anything or buy anything, is find a way to get in touch with that person.
Yep. Yep.
But
We're
we're giving you that data.
right. We're doing a lot of dancing around the topic because we're not coming out and saying, don't call. We're not coming out and saying, do call. I'm saying I rarely get people that push back on me if I call them and they're on a do not call list. If they do, I've got a great fall on my sword response. Could I get in trouble one day? For sure. So you just have to make that decision for yourself and know the laws. All right. I'm going to go to Kim next, but David had asked, and it's just a really fast answer. So as an investor, is your only option to help, only way to help the seller is in giving them a cash offer? No, you could give them a cash offer. You could do owner financing terms. You could sign a wholesale agreement. You could sign a novation agreement. You could take the opportunity to a real estate agent partner. So those are kind of the 5 that immediately come to the top of my head. You've got a lot of different ways that you can help people if you don't have the cash. You could also bring partners in on a deal and partner on it if you've got other people that have some cash. So a lot of different things that you could do there. Kim, thanks for waiting patiently. Let's go ahead and have you unmute yourself. Hopefully you're doing good.
Hi, yes, thank you. Question, I'm considering the divorce leads as a possibility on my other lead source right now. I do have someone, and her response was, I'm going to see I had offered a market analysis, and she said, well, I'm going to talk to my attorney first, see if I can keep the house. And then she said, I'm not going to look anymore at listings until I start the divorce process. So in that case, do you have any scripts? I might just practice with this one until I get a little more well-versed on what to do and sign up for some through all the leads. But I do see probably more divorces than anything around here. So that would be something I'd consider. Is there anything on the website or anything you'd recommend saying in that case? Because it's a process, it's a while.
Yep.
And yeah.
So I'm gonna basically say that divorce, I lean this way. This is not a definitive answer because everyone needs to figure out what they're most comfortable delivering as far as scripting goes. But I'm gonna treat divorce a little bit more like I would like a circle prospecting call, where, hey, I have no idea if you'd given any consideration to a potential sale or refinance of a property of 123 Main Street in the near to medium future. Is there anything I could do for you? And then let them say, well, it's funny you should ask, I'm getting a divorce. So I will let them bring the divorce up and then handle it. Now, if you want to reference the divorce, that's fine. By the way, what I just gave you is the same thing I do with notice of defaults as well.
Okay.
Some people will call someone that is in default on their property and say, hey, I recognize that we've got records that you're behind on your mortgage. Is there anything I can do to help? And they have success with that. So I'm not saying that bringing the divorce up is a bad idea. I don't bring the divorce up. I treat it like a circle prospecting call. Once they've identified that a sale is something that they might consider in the future, hey, is that something that might be in the near future, or is that still a few months out? Why don't I shoot you some information on what I do? That way, maybe you could reach back out if there's a time that you want some help. Yes. What's a good email? Get the email, and then I'll say, hey, while we're on the phone, why don't I shoot you a valuation on the property? Is there a time that I might be able to do that? Yes. Could I swing by the house and maybe take a look sometime in the next week or two? And so I'll start with let me shoot you some information, and then I'll start. Now that I get a yes, I'm going to start working a little bit more to kind of secure an appointment if I can. and at least if I can't secure the appointment, I've already gotten an email address and permission to shoot them some information on what I do, and that drip sequence is going to take over from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
I hope that helps. Yes, I do have some loose circle prospecting style scripts that are available. I haven't taught those in a class. We may put a class together soon, but jump on my coaching calendar and I can share some of those with you.
Okay. Is that on the,
Yeah, it's in, it depends. We have 3 coaches now. So Cameron's one, Kelly's one. You may be assigned to someone. If you're not assigned to me, go to support. You can do that in chat and just say, hey, I'm looking for Bruce's coaching link, and they can get that to you.
okay.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks.
Hey,
All right.
Bruce, I don't know if you have
Perfect.
other
Anything
questions. I see Noah came on. If he doesn't mind me picking on him, Noah Hawkins. Noah, if you don't mind me picking on, I spoke to him an hour or two ago and he had a couple questions. In the meantime, if he doesn't raise his hand, oh, there we go. Did you unmute him?
I don't see Noah.
Oh, Noah Hawkins, if you still have those questions, raise your hand. Otherwise, go ahead and we can move on to the next one.
Hello,
Hey,
Noah.
Noah.
how are you?
Very good. Hey, I called Noah this morning with the lead for his market and these leads we've been assigning. Right away, Noah's been with us for about 3 months. I could tell he was a little skeptical of why I was calling him. And then about an hour later, he called me back. And what else you trying to sell me? I felt like that was kind of the attitude. And then he was kind of taken back that I actually had a lead for him. And he called back about an hour later. It was like, you won't believe this. I set an appointment with him on the first call. They sound like they're ready to list. But no, I appreciate you letting me pick on you. He asked me a couple questions, and I'm going to take a wild guess from your questions, Noah, that you haven't started making your calls yet, and you probably haven't been through training. Am I correct?
I've been through a little bit of the training, just the initial call.
Okay.
It's just call trepidation, reluctance to be perceived as someone pouncing on someone else's misfortune, and how to kind of dance around that and not feel guilty, I guess.
Yep.
Or feel bad. And I just feedback people who do this regularly. I'm trying to get the guts up to do it, and I'm usually not afraid to call anyone. I was in logistics for 14 years. So that just seems, I lost my mom in December of 21, and that I don't know how I'd have felt if someone called and said, do you want to sell your parents' house?
Right.
That kind of thing.
So, Noah, for you, that's definitely not to go with. I'll tell you, some people love to call and say, hey, I work with people that are selling a house in probate. And that's their approach. For someone like me, I feel a little weird calling and saying that personally. So I teach an approach like that, but there is an approach where you're saying, hey, I have a service that helps with the whole probate process. Can you tell me where you are? And you're not leading with real estate. You back into real estate later in the call.
Okay.
So the fear and the trepidation and the worry that they're going to get mad and shut you down, for the most part, 99% of the time, it's in your head. Cameron does a lot of phone calls and he's not looking at the camera. If you're hearing me, Cameron, how often do people get mad at you for calling?
Not too often. It happens. I've been called vulture, stuff like that, but you can usually shake it off.
Yeah,
you guys are like vultures. So there's someone that I'm continuing to follow up with that said you guys are all like vultures, and I said, yeah, I understand, but I know I can help you, and I know they're going to sell the house, and I haven't heard back from her, but so I have a long text thread of me just saying, hey, how's it going? But yeah, I know you got to not too many people get mad.
No.
They'll typically mention how many of you guys call, and take me off your list. And I'm like, well, unfortunately I can't. And not too many mad people. But even if they get mad, you're like, yeah, you sound really upset. You all right? Something like that. That's how I would respond.
mirror back to them. So if they get upset, I'm usually gonna kind of mirror them. Hey, it sounds like you've really gotten hounded from people, which, by the way, that's their perception. I don't want anyone here thinking that they're actually getting hounded. You're not going to be one of 20 people that's bombarding people. These folks, they may have gotten one other call, but it's really 90+% that handle the call extremely politely. They're not upset. Most people are pretty matter of fact with what their needs are or where they are in the process. Even if they are not in a place to need to sell right now, they'll say, hey, we haven't talked about selling the house yet. Great. It's one of the reasons why I lead with more of like a concierge type of service instead of real estate. And then later, once I've established some rapport, I've disarmed them a bit, then I'll say, hey, before I let you go, do you mind if I ask what you guys might be doing with the real estate? So I'll back into it after we've disarmed their disarmed any skepticism that they might have. You're not going to run into a lot of people that get upset. And if you do, you're going to kind of have to blow it off. Sometimes you can just disarm them by saying, hey, sounds like you've probably been really, really bothered by people that are just out to make a buck on you. And then get them talking about what other people do. And that'll tell you how to handle it.
Okay. Is there anybody, or do we have sample calls on the site that I can actually listen to?
You could come. So Douglas commented a second ago that he's got a mastermind group on the Facebook group that they do role plays. There are also the prospecting mastery class that I do every month, where there's a whole bunch of role plays. If you do what I just said to Kim and grab a coaching call on my link, then I'll work through it with you. Cameron does coaching as well. He can work through it with you. So grab one of our coaching sessions. And then I would also say, jump into that prospecting mastery class. That's 2 days. And it's not 2 full days. It's just 3 hours a day. So it's a substantial class. It's a 6-hour class where we break apart exactly how to deal with the different responses you get on the phone. But if you jump in there and you do a one-on-one with me or Cameron, then we'll be able to kind of walk you through what to do on those. And I'll probably send you some YouTube videos as well.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. All right, Jim, let's see, anybody else? So David, by the way, David Hughes just said he's looking for a role play partner for probate. Guys, go on the All the Leads Mastermind Facebook group. So go to Facebook and look up All the Leads Mastermind, join that if you're not, and post if you're looking to role play in there. There are a bunch of people that are looking to role play that you can link up with and role play. Of course, I love it when people use the approach that I teach, even though my approach is certainly not the only one that you could possibly use. But I really like people to use that softer approach if they can.
Before you go to me, Tim's got his hand up.
Yeah, just real quick, I just wanted to say, just as usual, it's another great call and great information, great interchange. And, this is the reason that we're so proud to offer what we do. And I just wanted to remind you again about the offer that we made in the very beginning of this, which is a $50 rebate to you for helping us find some new people to grow their business just like you're growing your business. So don't forget, if you just turn somebody on to us, let them know to mention your name and we'll make sure you get the credit. And we'll be happy to give you lots of $50 credits. But please do that. We really want to grow our business, and the more we do, the more we're able to expand our service offering for you. So it helps you do this, not only to score a $50 rebate, but also to grow the business. And we continually invest what we do in making our business better. So we look forward to growing it. Thank you for your help. And with that, Jimmy, take us to the barn.
All right. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I want to particularly thank those that actively participated. A lot of good ideas, a lot of new techniques that we talked about today. I want to challenge each of you, take one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice and come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Same time next week. Take care.